control over what happens inside a cloud. Even if the cloud provider is honest, it can have malicious system administrators who can tamper with the virtual machines and violate the confidentiality and integrity. There can be breach on the air also when you are assessing the cloud. Clouds are still subject to traditional data confidentiality, integrity, availability, and privacy issues, plus some additional attacks. There is a study, though this study came in 2008, but these are companies are afraid to use cloud. Then the major concern is security, which is roughly 75%. The performance is 63. Availability is also 63%. Hard to integrate with in-house IT, 61%. Not enough ability to customize. This is roughly 55%. Worried on demand will cost more. So that is roughly 50%. And bringing back in house may be difficult, another 50%. Regulatory requirement prohibit cloud, that is 49%. Not enough major suppliers available for cloud, that is 44%. You can see the security is a challenge in this survey, which has made companies that they may not use the cloud because of security concerns. Causes of problems associated with cloud computing. Most security problems stem from loss of control because once you are out of your organization, the control is with the vendor who is providing the cloud services. Lack of trust. So there can be a problem of trust with the cloud provider. If he is not well established, he may breach your agreement and steal your information for financial or for other benefit. And multi-tenancy, as has been told by me earlier also, this is a major problem because in the same cloud machine, there can be multiple people who are sitting together. There can be a possible attacker who is assigned the same machine where your own programs are sitting. These problems exist mainly in third-party management models. Self-managed clouds still have security issues, but not related to the above. So if there is a third party which is providing these cloud services, then these are the main problems. Loss of control in the cloud. The consumer's loss of control. Data application resources are located with the provider. So all data application resources are under the control of the cloud provider. User identity management is handled by the cloud. User access control rules, security policies, and enforcement and managed by the cloud provider. So everything, access control, security policies, they are enforced by cloud provider. Consumer relies on provider to ensure data security and privacy, resource availability, monitoring and repairing of services resources. So the consumer who are taking the services, they fully rely on the provider to ensure data security and privacy, resource availability, monitoring and repairing of services resources. Lack of trust in the cloud. Trusting a third party requires taking risks. The If the person is in the same business, he may breach your contract and take for financial benefit the information. Defining trust and risk. These are the opposite sides of the same coin. People only trust when it pays. So this is a economics view. So you can charge for paying this secure services. Need for trust arises only if there is a risky situation. Defunct third-party management scheme. Hard to balance trust and risk. Is the cloud headed toward the same path? So whether we can trust the cloud provider, that is a major question. Multi-tenancy issue in the cloud. Conflict between the tenants opposing goals. There can be a tenant whose goal is providing these services, and there can be a tenant whose goal is to take information from others. So there can be different resources and opposing goals between the different service not only provider, but from the perspective of those who take these services. How does multi-tenancy deal with conflict of interest? Can tenants get along together and play nicely? If they cannot, can we isolate them? So these need to be looked into, how we can isolate them, how where the physical machine can be the same, because the cloud infrastructure can be shared by two different people having similar requirement for trust. How to provide separation between tenants? This is very important. If the same machine is being shared, how we can sandbox, how we can have two BMs which are separately put up on the same cloud, but they are able to save their data from breach. Cloud computing brings new threats. Multiple independent users share the same physical infrastructure. Thus, an attacker can legitimately be in the same physical machine as the target. So you can be targeting X machine, and the same machine and your own application can be put on the same physical machine. So, taxonomy of fear, confidentiality, fear of loss of control over data. Will the sensitive data stored on a cloud remain confidential? Will cloud compromises leak confidential client data? Will the cloud provider itself be honest and won't peek into the data? So these are some of the questions which need to be answered before you try to host your application on cloud with respect to confidentiality. Then integrity. How do I know that the cloud provider is doing the computation correctly? How do I ensure that the cloud provider really stored my data without tampering with it? So there can be possibility that the cloud provider, the computation is not correct. Secondly, that they are the cloud provider has not tampered with the data. So this is related to integrity. Availability. Will critical system go down at the client if the provider is attacked in a denial of service attack? So there can be denial of service attack on the cloud, and the application which is needed is made unavailable due to this denial of service attack. So what happens if cloud provider goes out of business? Tomorrow, if the applications are on maybe Google or Amazon, and if they stop their business, what will happen to the application and data? Would cloud scale well enough? So there can be requirements that you are not only looking for say 10 machines, but suddenly you may require 100 more machines. And if the cloud provider is not able to provide immediately, what will happen? Will you be going for another cloud? Often voice concern, although cloud providers argue their downtime compares well with the cloud user's own data center, but there can be a possibility that the downtime is more. Then privacy issues raised by massive data mining. Cloud now stores data from a lot of clients and can run data mining algorithms to get large amounts of information on their clients. So this can be used for targeted advertisements on the positive side, or this may be used for breaching the contract, maybe the car data, the your data to assess your money, that can be shared. Then it will become very difficult. Increased attack surface. Entity outside the organization now stored and computes data and so on. Attackers can now target the communication link between cloud provider and the client. If the data is not encrypted well, the communication links can be one area where breach can occur. Cloud provider employees can be phished. You can send some phishing emails to them, and can try to get the data out from there. So the getting from communication link or getting out from outside the organization or using phishing attack that increases the possibility of attacks. Auditability and forensics out of control of data. Difficult to audit data held outside the organization in a cloud.
Excuse me, sir.
Also made
Ex-
difficult since now clients don't maintain data locally. Legal dilemma and transitive trust issues. Who is responsible for complying with regulations? If cloud provider subcontracts to third party clouds, will the data still be secure? If the cloud provider itself takes the cloud services for storing data, then how safe is the data and will it not be breached by the next cloud provider? So taxonomy of fear. John Chambers of Cisco CEO said that cloud computing is a security nightmare and it cannot be handled in traditional ways. Security is one of the most difficult tasks to implement in cloud computing. Different forms of attacks in the application side and in the hardware components. Attacks with catastrophic effects only needs one security flaw in the system, and that can create lot of problem to the cloud providers. The threat model. A threat model helps in analyzing security problem, design mitigates mitigation strategies, and evaluate solution steps, identify attackers, assets, threats, and other components, rank the threats, choose mitigation strategies, build solutions based on these strategies. So this is how you go for threat model. Basic components of threat model can be attacker modeling. Choose what attacker to consider, whether insider versus outsider, single versus collaborator, attacker motivation and their capabilities, how much they are motivated, how trained they are for making these attacks, and attacker goals. Is it for just getting access to the data or getting for some financial gain or then getting control of the data and getting ransom for the attack? Vulnerabilities and threats. What is the issue? The core issue here is the levels of trust. Many cloud computing providers trust their customers. Each customer is physically commingling its data with data from anybody else using the cloud, while logically and virtually you have your own space. The way that the cloud provider implements security is typically focused on the fact that those outside their cloud are evil and those inside are good. But what if there are inside also some of insiders are also evil? If some of the people insiders they are also going to be attacker, then the case will be more difficult to handle because the inside attacker can get access to all the data which is stored in the cloud. Attacker capabilities, malicious insiders at client. At client side, you can learn passwords, authentication information, gain control of virtual machines. At cloud provider, log the client communication. You can log client communication, can read unencrypted data, can possibly peek into the virtual machines or make copies of virtual machines, can monitor network communication application patterns. And why? What for you will be doing these malicious activities? You want to gain information about client data, gain information on client behavior, sell the information or use itself for financial gain. So these are why the attacker will be attacking the machine. Attacker capabilities, if the attacker is from outside, what? Then the outsider can listen to the network traffic. It can insert malicious traffic. It can prop cloud structure. It can launch denial of service attacks, and goals can be intrusion, getting useful information, network analysis, or man in the middle attack. These kind of things can be done by the attacker from outside. Challenges for the attacker. how to find out where the target is located. So this is difficult for an attacker to find out within the cloud where a target is located. How to be co-located with the target in the same physical machine. So efforts can be made how to get yourself co-located within the same machine, how to gather information about the target. So how to find out the relevant information and breach into the that information. So security and privacy issues in the cloud computing, the big picture, data security and storage, several aspects of data security, including data in transit, confidentiality plus integrity using a secure protocol, confidentiality with non-secured protocol and encryption, data at rest generally not encrypted since data is commingled with other users' data, encryption if it is not associated with applications, but how about indexing and searching? So how you will find the data which you want, processing of data including multi-tenancy for any application to process data, how you will be finding out when we have the people, multiple people having access to the same cloud. So data security and storage, data lineage, knowing when and where the data was located within the cloud is important for audit and compliance purposes. So you need to look into some kind of information where you have stored it, which machine has processed it, and where it has been restored. Then data provenance, the computational accuracy as well as the data integrity, like the financial sum. How about dollars of different countries, correct exchange rates, data remittance, the inadvertent disclosure of sensitive information is also possible. What is privacy? The concept of privacy varies widely among and sometimes within countries, culture, and jurisdictions. It is shaped by public expectations and legal interpretation. As such, a concise definition is elusive, if not impossible. Privacy rights or obligations are related to the collection, use, disclosure, storage, and destruction of personal data. At the end of the day, privacy is about the accountability of organization to data subjects, such as well as the transparency to an organization practice around personal information. What are key privacy concerns? Typically, mix security and privacy. Some consideration to be aware of: storage, where the data is stored; retention, how it is retained; destruction, if you have deleted some record, whether the copy of the record will be still available in the cloud or they are destroying the information which you have asked them to destroy; auditing, monitoring, and risk management; privacy breaches, who is responsible for protecting the privacy on the of the information on the cloud; possible solutions. So security issues in the cloud, in theory, minimizing any of these issues would help third-party cloud computing. Loss of control, take back the control. Data and apps may still need to be on the cloud, but can they be managed in some way by the consumer? Lack of trust, increase the trust mechanism, technology, policy regulations, contractors, or there can be third party auditors which can help us to have more trust on the cloud service provider, because the third party is looking at within the relation between the service provider and the cloud. Multi-tenancy, private cloud, so takes away the reason to use the cloud in the first place. So if you go, if you are having a problem with multi-tenancy, then you have to use your private cloud, and you cannot then trust a third-party cloud. PVC, it's still not a separate system. Then we can think of that if we can have strong separation between the machines on the cloud or between the virtual machines, that can increase the security. Third party cloud computing already exists. Confidentiality issues are there, malicious behavior by cloud provider, and known risks exist in any industry practicing outsourcing. Provider and its infrastructure need to be trusted. So you must be able to trust who is the provider and his infrastructure. New vulnerabilities and attacks. There are threats arising from other consumers due to the subtleties of how physical resources can be transparently shared between the virtual machines. Such attacks are based on placement and extraction. So you can coexist on a machine which you want to attack and extract the information. A customer virtual machine and its adversary can be assigned to the same physical server. Adversary can penetrate the virtual machine and violate the customer confidentiality and take away your valuable information. There can be collaborative attacks where multiple virtual machines are created on the same cloud for attack. So this can be a collaborative attack on cloud. Mapping of internal cloud infrastructure, identifying likely residents of a target virtual machine, uh, instantiating new virtual machines until one gets co-resident with the target, cross virtual machine side channel attacks, extract information from target virtual machine on the same machine, same same cloud. Can one determine where in the cloud infrastructure an instance is located, a virtual machine is located? Can one easily determine if two instances are co-resident on the same physical machine? Can an advisory launch instances that will be co-resident with other user instances? Can an advisory exploit cross virtual machine information leakage once co-resident? So the answer is yes to all. So there can be a situation where the instance can be located in the cloud. You can coexist with your adversary, and these things are possible on cloud. Minimizing lack of trust. The policy language, the consumers have specific security needs but don't have a say so in how they are handled. Currently, consumers cannot dictate their requirements to the provider. So between a cloud and a user, there will be a service level agreement, and these service level agreements are one-sided. You might have seen many applications you want to download and install. These will be having that you need to only accept. You cannot modify those terms and conditions. So they are one-sided SLAs, standard language to convey one policies and expectation, and these are agreed upon and held by both parties. There are standard languages for service level agreements. Create policy language with the following characteristics. You can have the machine understandable or at least processable, easy to combine, merge, and compare. Minimize the lack of trust. Certification, some form of reputation, independent, comparable assessment and description of security features and assurance. You can have third party certification that the data was not mishandled. Risk assessment performed by certified third parties and provides consumers with additional assurance. Minimize loss of control monitoring. Cloud consumers needs situational awareness for critical application. When underlying components fail, what is the effect of the failure to the mission logic? What recovery mechanism can be taken? The minimizing loss of control requires an application-specific runtime monitoring and management tool for the consumer. The cloud consumer and cloud provider have different views of the system, enable both the provider and tenants to monitor the components in the cloud that are under their control, provide mechanisms that enable the provider to act on attacks he can handle, infrastructure remapping, shutting down of offending components or targets, repairs, provide mechanisms that enable the consumer to act on the attacks that can be handled. So you can have application level monitoring, risk adaptable access control, virtual machine porting with remote attestation of target physical host, provide ability to move the user's application to another cloud. The concept of don't put all your eggs in one basket. So consumer may use services from different clouds through an infrastructure intra-cloud or multi-cloud architecture. A multi-cloud or intra-cloud architecture in which consumers spread the risk, increase redundancy per task or per application, increase chance of mission completion for critical application. Possible issues to consider: the policy incompatibilities combined, what is the overarching policy, data dependency between clouds, differing data semantics across clouds, then knowing when to utilize the redundancy features, the
Hello,
monitoring.
sir. Hello, sir.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
What is hello? I'm Gautam.
Yes.
What is data semantics in cloud security or cloud computing? Can you give one sentence for that?
Data semantic.
Hmm.
Data semantic may be related to only how the data is being stored within the cloud. So that is not available to we people at the outside. Okay. Hello.
Gautam, is this okay?
Yeah, fine, sir. Fine, sir.
Okay,
Continue.
okay, okay.
So is it worth it to spread your sensitive data across multiple clouds? So redundancy could increase risk of exposure. Then many possible layers of access control. The access to the cloud, access to the server, access to the services, access to databases, direct and queries by web services, access to virtual machines and access to objects within a virtual machine. Then depending upon deployment model used, some of these will be controlled by the provider and others by the consumer. Regardless of deployment model, the provider needs to manage the user authentication and access control procedures. The federated identity management, the access control management burden still lies with the provider, requires user to place a large amount of trust on the provider in terms of security management, maintenance of access control policies. This can be burdensome when numerous users from different organizations with different access control policies are involved. So here, this is one aspect there where we have taken so many questions which arise when we take cloud services and want to use them. Then these are possible answer which we want. We definitely can have, if we take cloud services, we can have a third party auditor which can be a certified auditor who can certify the services being provided. Otherwise, whatever the cloud provider will say, we need to just agree to him. If there is some breach of contract, your information maybe the simplest one is again email. If your email information is breached, only the email provider, maybe Gmail only, will be able to certify whether there was a breach or not. So if there is a third party which is certifying this information, you can assess the information from that side also. So finally, the cloud computing is sometimes viewed as a reincarnation of the classical mainframe client-server model. However, resources are ubiquitous, scalable, highly virtualized, and contains all the traditional threats as well as new ones. In developing solutions to cloud computing security issues, it may be helpful to identify the problems and approaches in terms of loss of control, lack of trust, and multi-tenancy problems which we have been discussing. So this is an overview without going into deep analysis of any thing. What can be the major threats and what can be the major problems in the cloud infrastructure that is being just discussed here. And if you are keen, you can look into a particular problem which is being faced by the this uh, when we take services of cloud. So back to Dr. KP Krishanpal and Dr. Rajneesh.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation for and giving this nice talk on cloud security. And I'm sure definitely so many things they have learned, the participants and have learned from this session. So I would like to thank sir. So, sir, I just want to that you please be available with us for another 5 minutes.
In information security and privacy under ISA project phase 2. Total of 290 participants have registered in the course from different institutions, universities and industries. During these 5 days of total of 10 sessions, each of 2 hours have been conducted by renowned scientists and professors from NITs, IITs, CDEC, Hyderabad also. Professor M.C. Govil, Director NIT Sikkim, shared his views on recent trends in information security and discussed many open issues in information security and the research directions. In evening session, first day, Dr. Pilli Shubhankar, Associate Professor and Head Computer Science, enlightened the participants, giving a wonderful talk on blockchain technology. Also discussed about the possible attacks in blockchain networks. Second day, morning session, A.S. Murthy, Associate Director of CDEC Hyderabad and Coordinator of the ISA project, delivered his talk on recent trends in cybersecurity. Also discussed about the easiest and most effective way to make money from the cryptocurrency, mining under the topic cloud crypto mining. Evening session, Professor Maninder Singh from the Thapar University delivered a very informative talk on vulnerability issues in programming languages. Third day itself, morning session taken by Dr. Shailendra Kumar Verma, Professor DTU Delhi, discussed about the fundamental issues of network security and available solutions. Evening session delivered by Professor Manoj Mishra, IIT Roorkee, on authentication for cybersecurity. Also discussed various ways of authentication, their need and BN logic authentication. Fourth day, Dr. Sandeep Kumar Sood, head of the computer applications and NIT Kurukshetra, delivered a talk on cybersecurity and attacks. And second session, again by Dr. Pillai on TOR networks, deep web, dark web uses and the security issues. And today, the morning session, Professor Sanjeev Sofat, PEC Chandigarh, discussed about the protection of endpoint devices, process, and people. Also, he has discussed about the attacks on social media. All the sessions were very informative, nicely presented by eminent speakers, and I'm sure that participants have enjoyed this short-term course and learned many new things related to the recent trends in the security and privacy. Again, it is such an honor that Professor Avasthi, Director Uttarakhand, for sharing expert views with the different issues with the security. So we are also thankful to him. On behalf of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering and entire organizing team, I'm really thankful to all our eminent speakers sharing the knowledge and participants for being with us in all the sessions and making this STC a grand success. So thank you all. Thanks again. Now
Uh,
to
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now I would like to request to some participants to unmute their mics and share some feedback regarding this STC, please. Only 2, 3 participants, please. They can share their views.
Well, very
Anyone?
good afternoon. I am Dr. Ankur Chaudhary from Graphikra University, Dehradun. I would like to say that the talks by the experts in the field of information security and privacy, which we were listening to, were very insightful and will definitely help the participants in one way or the other, especially the budding researchers. This is an appreciable STC, which I feel, which was organized by the NIT Jalandhar. And such interactive sessions are really helpful. And I look forward to such more, events. I would especially like to thank the organizers for this. Thank you, really.
Thank you, Ankur. Thank you, Dr. Ankur. So, any other?
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon, all of you, respected teachers and directors, sir. Dr. Manoj Desai, who has completed his PhD and MTech both from NIT Jalandhar when you were director over there. So I had that time. And good to see this, interacting further with you all online, though online. But I really find it, insightful, especially the talk delivered by Murthy sir and, many others. Like I would especially, mention the name because I belong to that core areas of work. And I really enjoyed the session. I find it meaningful, even if I compare it with many other FDP, including Atal FDP. I find that this STC has, made a remarkable deliverables and the contents than many other, even national level STCs. So thank you all.
Thank you, Manoj. Thank you very much. Any other, please? Anyone else is here? Okay. So now I would like to
all of you, because you are all related to teaching learning. Today is National Education Day. I would like to congratulate all of you to conclude this FDP on National Education Day, the birth anniversary of our first education minister, Bharat Ratna Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad ji. So I congratulate all of you. And NIT Jalandhar has a great potential, and they have been doing good since long, and they are now persistent performers. They are performing with zeal, and it is evident from the feedback the student that comparable to many FDPs, the FDP which they have conducted has more weightage. So big round of applause for NIT Jalandhar and Computer Science Department. And I hope that you will keep on doing this good work and inspire people not only in the area of security but other areas as well. So with this word, I congratulate department for taking such initiative and coming up with a very innovative FDP with having more than 290 participants. So my appreciation to the organizing team and to the department in total. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you,
thank
sir.
you very much, sir. Thank you for
sir.
nice words and thank you for your blessing, sir. So at the last, now I would like to present a thanking note on behalf of organizing team of the STC and the Department of CSC NIT Jalandhar. So foremost, I would like to say thanks to Professor Binod Kumar Kanojia Director NIT Jalandhar, for giving the permission and support for organizing this course. I am very thankful to the Registrar, Professor Ajay Bansal, for providing financial support and necessary assistance and approval for the course. I would like to say thanks to Professor Geeta Sikka, Head CSC and Coordinator of the STC, for her continuous support and motivation. Thanks to Professor Harsh Kumar Verma, Dean Academics and convener of the course, for their guidance. Thanks to co-convener of the course, Dr. Renu Dheer, Associate Professor and Course Coordinator, Dr. Rajneesh Rani, for various arrangements during the course and designing the course contents. Also, I would like to express thanks to all faculty members and the staff members of the department for being with us during the course and providing their continuous support. I would like to thank all the speakers for delivering the wonderful sessions. Also, I would like to present a great thanks to all dear participants who joined us for different institutes and being with us during the STC. Without your support, the successful completion of the STC was not possible. Thanks one and all who directly or indirectly being with us during the STC, helped us during the STC. Thank you very much, one and all. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Okay, God bless you all. Bye.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So,
Sorry.
dear participants, your certificates soon we will email you. Okay. So, thank you very much, all of you, for attending this course.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, all of you. All of you, please fill the feedback form that I have shared just before over here. All of you, please fill the feedback form here in the chat box.
There also I have 10 only, no idea. 11. Your roll number?
28.
Whose pen is this?